So this one is ceramic coating. I have debated long and hard whether to do this because it's quite scary if you get it wrong, but I decided to be brave and give it a go. It's a lot of hard work though, I will say up front. Take a day out at least. So as some of you know, got rid of the F-type. I've now got an F-pace. It's not new, it's nearly 18 months old, so it's had a bit of road wear, but obviously when I bought it from the dealer they'd fully cleaned it and everything, and I've only had it for a couple of 100 miles, so it's not got a lot of road use on it. But rather than pay the dealer 500 or 600 quid to get it coated, I decided I'd do it myself, partially because I enjoy these things. I do like car detailing. I'll say up front as well, this is just my way of doing it. Other people have their own way, have a different view about how things have been done. I'm just going to share what worked or didn't work for me in terms of doing the car. I started this morning on this probably about 8 o'clock. It's nearly 1 o'clock. I washed it last night, so a couple of hours doing that, getting it clean, and then parked it in the garage to dry overnight. So I came to it this morning with a dry car, all nice and clean, and started the prep work. I have basically the steps that I've gone through, which is what I wanted to share on this video. I haven't as of yet got to the point of putting the coating on. I'm still a step or two away from starting that. But here's what I have done with the car. So pretty much all of the car, well, I say pretty much, apart from the glass and some of the plastic bumper work, I've been through all of the car with the clay bar. I use the Build Hammer one just because I like it, but effectively all over everything. I've used some rapid detailer. You can use soapy water, of course, with the clay bar. I just like this because it's a bit more helpful when it comes to getting rid of tar. So it's basically been a squirt of it over the panels and all over with the clay bar, just to remove anything from the paintwork. And I've done that all over the car. I can feel a bit there that it's pulling off. So that's removed all of the gritty, horrible bits off the car. Obviously with your clay bar, keep rotating it, and if it gets too contaminated, get rid of it and start with a new piece. So I've pretty much gone round all of the car doing that. Once I've kind of gone over it, I've cleaned down with fibre cloth all of it. There is obviously, when you go around the car, and even though this one, you know, was prepped by the dealer, it's a great opportunity to find where those scratches are, and I found a few of them here and there around the car. Also the occasional bits of tar. For the tar, you can either keep going with the clay bar, which will pull it off eventually. If it's being particularly stubborn, I've used some tar remover to get rid of that one. And then it's been on, after I've done all of that, and that took a few hours to do, the second step for me was to move on to not so much polishing it, but effectively using some cutting compound. So basically I've been over all of the panels with this. It's not heavily coated in polish. I didn't want that. It's just a light lift. Basically for me to go around every single panel. So basically nothing more than that really, just to make sure that any slight scratches and swirls or any heavy contamination is taken off the paintwork. So the whole car's had that done all over it, and then the most important tool for the whole morning has been this. It's effectively going over it almost with a kind of microscopic approach, to make sure all the cutting compound had gone off it, but also to make sure as well, if there were any marks, and there have been at various points on the car, that I could spend some more time with the cutting compound lifting those out where possible. So all of those light scratches I've found, I've pulled off the paintwork and got it back to a smooth finish, which pretty much for all of the car is where I am now. My next step, and I'll come back as I intend to put my first bit of ceramic coating on. The next bit for me is to move on to the final bit, which is the panel wipe. So that takes any nasty residue that's left over from the polish or the detailer, and lifts that all off the paintwork, so you've got a clean surface on which to adhere the ceramic coating. So, been around the car at least 4 times this morning so far. I shall start my 5th journey with the panel wipe now, and come back to you after I've done that. Hi, back again. So the next 2 steps of this, and I've pretty much done all of the car now. You can add another 3 hours onto the clock. Basically what I've done is gone around the car with panel wipes, which is this stuff. It's after an hour or so of being in here and doing this, it's a bit like a 14-year-old sniffing glue. It gives you quite a headache. You do need some ventilation while you're doing this, but to do the panel wipes, it's pretty easy. Just wipe round like this, making sure you clear everything off. Once you've done that, give it a wipe with a cloth, and pretty much that's all you need to do before you put the ceramic sealant on. Now, moving on to the ceramic sealant, interesting bit this, so I'll put the headache stuff down. I chose basically this one, which is the Gtechniq Serum Light. It's what they call their prosumer version, which basically means it's for novices and infrequent users like me. The actual instructions for this are basically to do it in 2-meter sections. Sorry, 2-meter sections, that'd be huge. 2-foot sections around the car. Basically, the serum that you get comes in a little jar like this. Now, I'm just going to say, I bought the large one. I know this is an SUV, but I would hate to think I'd try and do a Range Rover or anything with just this. I have religiously followed the 3 drops of the pipette. So basically, whatever you can suck up on the pipette, do that 3 times onto the cloth, and then use that on your 2-foot by 2-foot section. There is a dribble left in this after going around the car doing that. So this is, I think, the 50mm version of it. All I would say is, if you are going to do anything bigger than this size of car, you might want to buy another jar just as a kind of backup. But anyway, to put it on, I was incredibly terrified of doing this as a job, because I've read so many horror stories about people ceramic coating, setting, and then it producing a matte, horrible, lumpy finish on the car. But this stuff's been a dream to use. It's been pretty easy. Effectively, what you do is you get your little pad, which has already got some on here, and all you do around your 2-foot square is just kind of do the up and down crosswise, make sure you've got proper coverage around it. Spend a minute or 2 doing that. So it's pretty easy. It's pretty just kind of wipe on. Watch things like rubber seals around the car, because if you do that, and I did catch one with the other pad I was using, I've used 2 of these to do the car. You can see I caught the rubber seal on that, and a lot of black transferred off. So I binned off using that one and moved on to another one. So it is literally wipe over the paint once you've got a good coverage of the coating on, and once that's on, then all you need to do is pick up your cloth and give that a wipe down. Generally 1 kind of wipe on one face kind of smudges it all in, then find a dry spot. So I'm going to flip this over and just give it a gentle buff, keeping an eye on it to make sure that you've got no smudges left. And it's literally as easy as that all round the car. As I say, I've completely exhausted that jar. It's all now and done. I've covered every bit of the car. The thing that I now am going to do, because I'm using this Gtechniq stuff, is what they recommend is then putting some of this on. So I'm going to give the car an hour or two now to dry, and then I'll come back and effectively do the same again with this, as I did with the ceramic coating. So final bit of effort is around the EXO stuff, which is, I believe, the water repellent covering. So the final bit of this has been, it's relatively easy. The only real difference is, and I thought this stuff would run out as the other stuff nearly did, but the reality is you only need a few drops of this, and it's pretty easy to do. So it's just like a few drops onto the pad, kind of wipe it on, pretty much the same as all the other stuff. The only real difference with this one is you just give it a bit longer before you wipe it off. So give it a minute or two to kind of cure-ish on the surface. It doesn't go off as quickly as the Crystal Serum Light, so it's relatively easy to manage. In fact, I did miss one bit and didn't notice until about 10 minutes later, and it still hadn't gone off. It still wiped off quite easily. That was on the second coat though. So yes, 2 coats of it. I've given it about an hour and a bit in between each, so it's 8 o'clock at night now. So I started this job at 8 this morning. It's a good 12 hours, and I've been at it pretty constant. I've had a few breaks to let the coatings dry off in between, but by and large I've given at least an hour on each coat before I've gone back to it, and even then it's taken a good 12 hours. So as I say, give up your day. It is a long job, but that's me done now. I've covered the car. It's got to sit in the garage now for the next 12 hours at least, but I'll probably give it a couple of days before I push it back out into the real world, just to give a chance for all the coatings to harden. And you're not allowed to wash it, I don't think, for at least a week. I hope I've given some people insight to what it takes to do, and I hope you might be scared off by how long it takes and the effort involved, but at least you know it's something you can do if you do want to do. Am I pleased with the results? Yeah, I think I am. By and large, it's pretty hard to tell in the garage light. I probably won't really be able to tell until I get it outside, and likewise as well, it'll be that first wash to find out how easily stuff comes off. But that is me done. I hope it was insightful for you. Cheers.